You're watching Fox 10 Arizona Morning with Ron Hoon, Rick D'Amico, Andrea Robinson, Kristen Anderson, and Corey McCloskey in HD. Coming up.
All right, it's got everybody talking. The Los Angeles mother and her son on the cover of Time magazine. Have you seen it?
If you haven't,
there it
is. Yes. Okay, so we've got the experts weighing in on this issue here. What one psychologist has to say about attachment parenting and what it means to your marriage. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, you guys, not only are we going to talk to the experts, but take a look at this. Of course, you know this is the cover shot, but did you know that there are several other pictures involved in this photo shoot, including several other moms that believe in attachment parenting? I'll take you inside behind the cover of Time magazine next.
You're watching Fox 10 Arizona Morning.
All right, welcome back. A lot of folks are doing a double take at this week's Time magazine cover. It has to be one of the most talked about stories, that they've done in a while, but definitely one of the most talked about stories on the web and Facebook.
All right, here's the cover again. You see a 3-year-old boy, he's almost 4, by the way, attached to his mom's breast. The mom practices what they call attachment parenting.
And there's lots of different components of attachment parenting. It's a way that one part of it is the mother carries the baby around in a sling. Now, if you call a 3-year-old a baby still, I don't know. But like a 3-year-old in a sling, baby sleeps in mom and dad's bed, and the kid is also breastfed well beyond a year, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, on demand whenever the child wants.
All right, so standing by, we have well, she's our sex expert, actually.
And clinical psychologist.
Yes. She'll be here to talk about how this practice could be damaging to the child and husband. But first, Kristen is going to join in on this.
Okay. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, you guys. On TimeMagazine.com, I want to show you this feature that they have. It's actually called Behind the Cover. And of course, you've seen this one by now, but there are actually 4 different moms photographed for this cover during the shoot. This is Jamie Lynn Grummett and her son, age 3. Now, this is another mom. This is Deanna Ford of Kansas City, Missouri, and her children, ages 4-year-old right here. Obviously, he's too big to be held, but he's kind of wrapping around, and then 5-month-old as well. This is Jessica Carey of Brooklyn and her daughter, age 3. And under each picture, there's a quote, like, I don't think about when I'll stop. For us, it's a life philosophy. Of course, talking about breastfeeding. This is Melinda Larson of Long Island, New York, and her kids, ages 6, the oldest in this shoot, 4, 2.5, and 9 months. And you guys, photographer Martin Schuler actually modeled this after the iconic image of Madonna and child here. And he talks about his goal in this shoot is to really show that there's no stereotypical look for a mom that parents in this way. So just interesting to see all the different moms. And by the way, just before I throw it back to you, I want to tell you that 8 of the top 10 searches on time.com this morning are about attachment parenting and breastfeeding, as well as mothers and topics related to the thing. So this is the big talker today that everybody is visiting and talking about.
I know that when I had typed in just Time magazine, it had already come up. Time magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Are you mom enough? Breastfeeding cover. It's out there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kristen. Okay, so now we have Meghan Krein. She's a therapist with 15 years of experience here, and you've worked with all sorts of family elements and couples and things like that, but mainly we're going to talk to you about attachment parenting, and to each his own. If somebody's practicing that, that's one thing, but there can be certain effects on your marriage in particular because, you know, you are completely devoting everything to that child.
Right. The mother is giving everything to this child. Besides the breastfeeding, there goes the co-sleeping. So the baby is in bed with both parents, which this is greatly discouraged because of SIDS.
And rolling over on the baby, smothering them.
Definitely, definitely. And also they're strapping the child to the mother in those slings and toting them around with them daily to the grocery store, wherever they're going. You know, just being attached to the child at all times. So they're giving everything to this child.
So in addition to that being a disservice to the child, what about the relationship between the father and the mother?
Well, definitely there's going to be there's a barrier, you know, because the mother's giving everything to the child. They don't, in attachment parenting, they don't encourage the child to cry out. So if the child's crying, they go cater to the child, you know.
And the thing with attachment parenting, I'm sure that there is extremes and different levels of it. Some people probably take it to the farthest end level.
Right.
When you read about it and you read just specifically the breastfeeding component of it, they encourage you to go ahead and breastfeed beyond 1 year, but that doesn't give specific ages or things like that. So some people look at the Time magazine and think that child's almost 4. It's in preschool and can ask for it and things like that. And then that's when they worry that there's some psychological things that can happen to that child too. And how do you wean a child that's 4 off of the breast when that's all they've ever had?
Right. Yeah, how does that work? And the kid's out playing with their friends. I mean, how do you get the kid away from the breast when they're out there asking for it and they're with their friends, or you're doing a great disservice to the child, I believe.
Is there any psychological damage at all to the child when they get in older years? Do we know?
Well, we don't know that there's been any damage, but there's no empirical evidence that it's doing the children any good.
Good, huh?
However, I guess they have shown that these children become more dependent. They have trouble becoming more independent, feigning for them. They become more reliable on their parents.
Sure.
To do everything.
Yeah.
No, I understand it.
The moms become so stressed out.
That's what you were saying, is the moms, you read a story about a mother who was, because I read a story this morning about a mother who had a 3-year-old. She was also just had a baby. She was nursing both kids, a 3-year-old and the baby.
How do you do that?
Wow.
She was constantly nursing, like every single hour for 24 hours a day. She was nursing these children that were vastly different in ages. And she was losing her mind.
Yeah, and I was reading a story about a woman that was doing around the same thing, and she was losing her hair. Her body was so weak, because she's carrying these children around in those slings. She's catering to them. She's devoting her whole self to these children.
There was information out today that this mother that appeared on the cover of Time magazine, she was breastfed until she was 6 years old.
Until she was 6.
So that would perpetuate, I guess, to do it to your children.
Right, yeah, it's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And we know that breastfeeding has so many nutritional benefits for that child, especially up to a year.
Right.
And no one's doubting that or saying anything. But there have been doctors and people that have said that maybe breastfeeding past a year, there's really not that many benefits to it.
Right.
Once you get past that year mark. So
yeah,
it's definitely something to think about. And, we don't see that all that often.
And it all stems from the psychologist John Bowlby back in 1950, who, of the attachment theory. From separation anxiety. We've all heard of that, right? But that was when there was pretty much one caregiver in the home. Now we're out working. Children are known to have other caregivers that are stable.
Right.
So it's really not a necessity anymore.
And Dad's a big role in bringing up those kids, too. We shouldn't shoo them out of the entire equation.
Thank you for coming in, Megan. Megan Krein is a therapist, and you have a practice here in town.
Yep.
How do we find you again?
You can find me on my blog, For Crying Out Loud, Krein. And I'm also write for Fascinations, the Fun Love blog.
Okay.
And you can see me out and about town.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate
Old
it.
Scottsdale.
Yeah, I'm just around.
She's a fun gal.
Okay. Our poll question now is, how old is too old to breastfeed? Your choices are 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, or it's mom's choice. Let's see. Let's take a look at this here, you guys.
38% of you say it's mom's choice.
Yeah.
To each his own.
Yeah.
Do what you please. You know what's best for your child.
All right. MyFoxPhoenix.com or text at 44802. Standard text and data rates apply.